Sorry, I'm not very good at the finger thing. I tried my best. That's how it is sometimes. I also have a brush. Let me know if that's it. That's nice. This isn't, here we go. Gotta make sure I'm on the right page. Now, Epic Games, Fortnite, they have, quite a lot of text to go through. So, bear with me if it, drags on. But what I'm gonna do is, hopefully, by reading a lot of text that is not very interesting, maybe it'll help you go to sleep. That'd be probably pretty nice if you're tired. Okay, here goes. The Fortnite End User License Agreement. End User License Agreement. Please read this agreement carefully. It is a legal document that explains your rights and obligations related to your use of Epic's software, including any services you access or purchases you make through the software. By downloading or by using the software, or by otherwise indicating your acceptance of this agreement, you are agreeing to be bound by the terms of this agreement. If you do not or cannot agree to the terms of this agreement, you may not download or use this software. In particular, we want to highlight some important terms, policies, and procedures in this agreement. By accepting this agreement is that's kind of a good word, agreement. You are also agreeing to other Epic rules and policies that are expressly incorporated into this agreement. Please read them carefully. Our privacy policy explains what information we collect from you and how we protect it. It's kind of, when you do that, it's protect. Interesting. Our fan content policy explains what you can do with Epic's intellectual property in the content case. 3. You and Epic agree to resolve disputes between us in individual arbitration, not in court. That's called forced arbitration. We believe the alternative dispute resolution process of arbitration will solve any dispute fairly and more quickly and efficiently than a formal court litigation. Section 12 explains the process in detail. We've put up this front. Let's put this up front and in caps because it's important. This is very important. That's them saying this. This agreement contains a binding individual arbitration and class action waiver provision. If you accept this agreement, you and Epic agree to resolve disputes in binding individual arbitration and give up the right to go to court individually or as part of a class action. And Epic agrees to pay your arbitration costs for all disputes of up to $10,000 that are made in good faith. See Section 12. You have a limited time right to opt out of this waiver. Now, software, including the actions of anyone you allow to access to your account. You affirm that you have reached the legal age of majority. Understand and accept this agreement, including dispute resolution terms. Those are important, of course. If you are under the legal age of majority, your parent or legal guardian must consent to this agreement. Certain words or phrases are defined to have certain meanings when used in this agreement. Those words and phrases are defined below in section 16. I'm looking forward to that section when we finally get there. For now, we're in the subsection. We're not in section 1 yet, even. If your primary residence is the United States of America, your agreement is with Epic Games Incorporated. If it is not in the United States of America, your agreement is with Epic Games International, S.A.R.L., acting through its Swiss branch. Now, I don't know if they picked the Swiss because of tax havens, or because maybe they have a lucrative bank account there, but, because of the Nazi money or whatever it is. I don't know. But I guess, they are handling their international issues with a different company. So, if you're outside of the United States, you are actually making this agreement with a Swedish company. So, just so you know. Section 1. Finally, we're here. We've reached the license grant. Epic grants you a personal, non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-sublicensable, limited right and license to install and use the software on compatible devices you own or control for your personal entertainment use. That's the license, the rights that Epic grants you. Under the license are subject to the terms of this agreement, and you may only make use of the license if you comply with all applicable terms. The license becomes effective on the date you accept this agreement. The license is licensed. The software is licensed, not sold to you under the license. The license does not grant you or any title or ownership in the software. 2. License conditions. You may not do or attempt to do any of the following with respect to the software or any of its parts. A. Use it commercially or for a promotional purpose, except as Epic expressly authorizes. You can have some water. Is this good when I do it? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So, what we were saying was that you cannot use Fortnite. Remember, this is for Epic Games Fortnite. You cannot use it commercially or for a promotional purpose, except as Epic expressly authorizes. I assume that using it as a thing you stream license, distribute, or otherwise transfer it. D. Reverse engineer, derive source code from, modify, adapt, translate, decompile, or deassemble it, or make derivative works based on it. So if you say you saw Fortnite, their fun game mode, the Battle Royale, and you said, I want to add that into my game. I want to add a similar mode into my game. That would be creating a derivative work based on Fortnite, of course. And if you saw, I would imagine that this would also extend to other Battle Royale games, maybe that came before. Maybe if you were talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Let's say you were a company that had a multiplayer game that was not doing so well, and you saw the success of something like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and you took that mode and you implemented it in your game. That would be making a derivative work. Some might say, it's more complicated than that. Legally, that would not be illegal per se, but they're saying that you shouldn't do that. Now, who's saying that's something that's even bad? Maybe it's fine. E. Remove, disassemble, circumvent, or modify any proprietary notice or label or security technology included in it. F. Create, develop, distribute, or use any unauthorized software programs to gain advantage in any online or other game modes. G, for instance. G. Use it to infringe or violate the rights of any third party, including but not limited to any intellectual property, publicity, or privacy rights. H. Use, export, or re-export it in violation of any applicable law or regulation, or behave in a manner which is detrimental to the enjoyment of the software by other uses as intended by Epic in Epic's sole judgment, including but not limited to the following: harassment, use of abusive or offensive languages, game abandonment, game sabotage, spamming, social engineering, scamming, running or using methods which are not authorized by Epic and which interfere with the outcome and or course of the software, including cheats, bots, scripts, or mods not expressly authorized by Epic. By giving you and or another user an advantage over players who do not use such methods, or making or otherwise contributing to such unauthorized software. The software may contain cheat detection software or features you may be prompted to install. Cheat detection software during your installation of the software. If you do not agree to install the cheat detection software, or at any time remove or disable the cheat detection software or features, the license granted to you automatically terminates, and you may not make use of this software. Software or the cheat detection software may collect and transmit details about your account, gameplay, and potentially unauthorized programs or processes in connection with cheat detection, subject to Epic's privacy policy. In the event that cheats are identified, you agree that Epic may exercise any or all of its rights under this agreement. Now, this does create a problem because a lot of people don't always want a cheat detection program running on their computer. It's one thing, when companies make a program that runs while you're playing the game, but there are some companies that make cheat detection programs which are running all the time, and when users find out about that, they're pretty upset usually. But is part 3, if you want to cross-reference. Epic may provide patches, updates, or upgrades to the software that must be installed in order for you to continue to use the software or services. Epic may update the software remotely without notifying you, and you hereby consent to Epic applying patches, updates, and upgrades. Epic may modify, suspend, discontinue, substitute, replace, or limit your access to any aspect of the software or services at any time. You acknowledge that your use of the software or services does not confer on you any interest, monetary or otherwise, in any aspect or feature of the software or services, including but not limited to, where applicable, any in-game rewards, trophies, achievements, character levels, game currency, or content. You also acknowledge that any character data, game progress, game customization, or other data related to your use of the software services may cease to be available to you at any time without notice from Epic, including without limitation after a patch, update, or upgrade is applied by Epic. Epic does not have any maintenance or support obligations with respect to the software or services. So, this part is expressly saying that if you have things in the game, if you have Fortnite items, they can go away at any time. If they have to patch it, if they have to delete it, if a deal falls through, perhaps, if Fortnite stops running, this gives them license to just, say, hey, Fortnite is over, so you don't get anything. Obviously you can't play Fortnite after that, but your items are essentially given to you, but they're not owned by you. They're still owned by Epic. It's that way with a lot of digital things. When you're playing these types of games, or any game, keep that in mind, that, any money you spend, make sure it's for fun. Make sure you're having a good time. Because you don't really own that stuff. So, it's why you don't really want to collect that sort of stuff, because you're not really collecting anything, or anyway, it's a pretty big topic. We don't have to get into that kind of talk, but we can get into section 4, which is a very fun section. I think you're gonna like this section. It's called game currency and content. Game currency and content. I think content has a lot of consonants in it. That I don't know. I like those consonants. Content, 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 content. Things like that. I think they're nice. Epic may offer you the ability to acquire licenses to in-game currency, which we'll refer to as game currency, or content, such as purchasing a limited license to use game currency for a fee. Purchase game currency. Now that's an important distinction. That's related to what I was talking about before, where you're not buying the currency, you're buying a license to use the currency. So therefore, you have 700 V-Bucks. That means you have the license to use also have the ability to acquire a license to earn a limited license to use a game currency by performing or accomplishing specific tasks in the software. Be like, the battle pass, for instance. Or C, purchasing for a fee, exchanging game currency for, or earning a limited license to use content. There you go. So that's kind of a similar way of saying the first one. Also, Epic may facilitate the exchange of certain content through the software. In some cases, for a fee, you may only use such game currency or content if you pay the associated fee. So, I think this is probably very similar. This is probably talking about something like the Battle Pass. When you earn or pay the fee to obtain such game currency or content, you are obtaining or purchasing from Epic the right to have your license include such game currency or content, regardless of any references Epic may make outside this agreement to purchasing or selling game currency or content. Both game currency and content are licensed, not sold, to you under the license. Use of an Epic account balance to purchase game currency or content is subject to Epic's terms of service. So there you go. That's them saying in plain text. They really want to hammer the point home that no matter what they say to you, even if they tell you in the game you can have this and it's yours forever, that because of this agreement, that the truth is that it's just a license. So, another thing to keep in mind, neither game currency nor content are redeemable for money or monetary value from Epic or any other person, except as otherwise required by applicable law. Game currency and content do not have an equivalent value in real currency and do not act as a substitute for real currency. Neither Epic nor any other person or entity has any obligation to exchange game currency or content for anything of value, including, but not limited to, real currency. You agree that Epic may engage in actions that may impact the perceived value or purchase price, if applicable, of game currency and content at any time, except as prohibited by applicable law. So, that paragraph is kind of stating that they are allowed to make currency appear as though it has value, but they want you to know that it expressly does not. There is no best value, because there is no value, according to Epic. Now, of course, no one thinks that. Everyone believes that virtual currencies are worth however much they say they are. But Epic is saying that they have the ability to change that perception at any point, because the actual perception should be that they have no value. All purchases of purchased game currency and content are final and are not refundable, transferable, or exchangeable under any circumstances, except as otherwise required by applicable law. Epic, in its sole discretion, may impose limits on the amount of currency or content that may be purchased, earned, accumulated, or redeemed, or otherwise used, except as otherwise prohibited by applicable law. Epic, in its sole discretion, has the absolute right to manage, modify, substitute, replace, suspend, cancel, or eliminate game currency or content, including your ability to access or use game currency or content authorized processor. You represent that you are an authorized user of the payment card, PIN, key, account, or other payment specified by you, and you authorize Epic to charge such payment method for the full amount of the transaction. End of section. And now we enter another fun section. Section 5, which is user-generated content. Okay. Epic may provide features through the software or the services that allow you sound recordings, and the musical works embodied in the sound recordings, licensed music in connection with UGC. If Epic makes available licensed music for you to use in your UGC, Epic grants you a non-exclusive, personal, limited, revocable, non-transferable license to synchronize the licensed music into UGC during the period of time that the licensed music is made available through the services, and to play, listen, and interact with UGC containing licensed music solely through the services. Your modifications, e.g. edits, use of a portion of the licensed music to synchronize it into the UGC, are considered derivative works included in the definition of licensed music, the rights to which are retained by Epic and its licensors. Special rules for recording artists. If you are a composer or author of a musical work and are affiliated with or a member of a performing rights organization, under contract with the record label, or have assigned your rights to a music publisher, then you must notify the interested party of the royalty-free license you grant through this agreement to Epic. You are solely responsible for ensuring your compliance with the relevant party's reporting or contractual obligations, and, if applicable, obtaining the consent of that party to grant the royalty-free licenses in this agreement, including if you create any new recordings through the services that your label may attempt to claim. You represent and warrant that any UGC containing licensed music is not subject to, and Epic has no obligation to pay royalties to, any third party, including, without limitation, a sound recording copyright owner, and a musical work copyright owner, and a performing rights organization, a sound recording performing rights organization, any unions or guilds or other third parties. Epic does not allow any intellectual property infringement activities through the software or the services. You may not, and agree not to, create, generate, or make available through the software or the services any UGC to which you do not have the right to grant Epic such license in all of the elements, including the licensed music of the UGC. If you do choose to create, generate, or make available your UGC through the software or services, you are solely responsible for your UGC and represent and warrant that you are the creator and owner of, and have all the necessary licenses and rights to use and authorize Epic to exploit the license granted above. Your UGC and Epic's use of the UGC as contemplated under this agreement will not infringe or violate any third-party rights, including copyright, trademark, patent, trade secret, moral rights, or the rights of privacy and publicity. Epic does not need to obtain any further licenses, provide attribution or pay royalties or other compensation to any third parties, and Epic's use of your UGC will not violate any third-party contract or cause Epic to violate any applicable laws or regulations. You are responsible for your UGC, so please don't make objectionable content available on or through the services. If you do, we may have to take it down. Epic may, but is in no under obligation to edit or control any UGC you or others make available through the software or the services. Epic may at any time screen, remove, delete, edit, block, or refuse to publish UGC that violates this agreement or is disclosure, withdrawal, and any other rights that are known or referred to as moral rights, artist's rights, droit moral. I've not heard of that one before. Droit moral, or other similar rights recognized under any legal or equitable theory of any country, or under any treaty, regardless of whether that right is transferred to as a moral right, collectively moral rights, in and to your UGC. You further knowingly and irrevocably agree to not exercise any moral rights in and to your UGC that you have not waived in any manner that interferes with any exercise of granted rights. You waive and agree not to assert your moral rights, even if your UGC is altered or changed in a manner not agreeable to you. That was quite a long section, but UGC, user-generated content, is that's a big topic. I don't particularly know if people are really doing that much UGC in Fortnite. I think they're mostly just playing the game, but good to cover your ass, I guess. Part 6. Feedback. Now, this is a short one. If you provide Epic with any feedback, you hereby grant Epic a non-exclusive, fully paid, royalty-free, worldwide, perpetual, irrevocable, sublicensable, transferable, and assignable license to use, reproduce, distribute, modify, adapt, prepare derivative works based on, publicly perform, publicly display, make, have made, use, sell, offer to sell, import, and otherwise exploit any and all feedback for any purposes, for all current and future methods and forms of exploitation. Feedback means suggestions, comments, ideas, and all other types of information, including the software and code that you provide, publish, or otherwise communicate, directly or indirectly, including your employees, agents, contractors, or representatives, to Epic or its agents that relates to the services or software. If any such rights may not be licensed under applicable law, such as moral and other personal rights, you hereby waive and agree not to assert any such rights. You understand and agree that Epic is not required to make any use of any feedback you provide. You agree that if Epic makes use of your feedback, Epic is not required to credit or compensate you for your contribution. You represent and warrant that you have sufficient rights in any feedback that you provide to Epic to grant Epic and other affected parties the rights described above. This includes, but is not limited to, intellectual property rights and other proprietary or personal rights. Now, in this section, we have a lot of, feedback is not just when you submit a little card that says, I liked the Fortnite, good job, or I didn't like the Fortnite, you did a bad job with this update, bad job. Feedback means if you are saying, I think Fortnite should have a mode where they have a battle royale, or it means if you are, on the forums and you are saying, hey, you should buff the hammer because the hammer's not good enough. And if they use that, you have no right to claim that you came up with that idea. Well, maybe you can claim that, but legally, you cannot claim copyright over that. It is their intellectual property if you provide Epic with feedback on their game. So don't go giving them and services. Features may be made available to you via the software and services that provide prefabricated templates or in-game items to use in connection with your UGC. However, your use of a template does not give you any copyrights or other ownership in the template. Epic Games, Unreal Engine, and Fortnite and their respective logos are trademarks or registered trademarks of Epic and its affiliates in the United States of America and elsewhere, like Sweden. All rights granted to you under this agreement are granted by express license only and not by sale. No license or other rights shall be created hereunder by implication, estoppel, or otherwise. The software includes certain components provided by Epic's licensors. A list of credits and notices for third-party components may be found in the game's interface. So, it's just letting you know, that section's pretty boring, gotta be honest. This section is all in bold, and they just decided to bold the whole thing here. They bolded even the title. This is part 8, disclaimers and limitation of liability. Nothing in this agreement will prejudice the statutory rights that you have. Sorry, it's very hard to read this bolded text. That you may have as a consumer of the software or services. Some countries, states, provinces, or other jurisdictions do not allow the exclusion of certain warranties or the limitation of liability, as stated in this section. So the below terms may not fully apply to you. Instead, in such jurisdictions, the exclusions and limitations below shall only apply to the extent permitted by the laws of such jurisdictions. So, you may be not subject to all of this based on where you live. If you live in a land with no laws, maybe none of this applies to you. I don't know. Depends on where you live. Your mileage may vary, as it were. The software, meaning Fortnite, including any game currency and content and services, is provided on an as-is and as-available basis, with all faults and without any warranty of any kind. Epic, its licensors, and their affiliates disclaim all warranties, conditions, common law duties, and representations, express, implied, oral, and written, with respect to the software and services, including, without limitation, all express, implied, and statutory warranties and conditions of any kind, such as title, non-interference with your enjoyment, authority, non-infringement, merchantability, fitness, or suitability for any purpose, whether or not Epic knows or has any reason to know of any such purpose. System integration, accuracy or completeness, results, reasonable care, workmanlike effort, lack of negligence, and lack of viruses, whether alleged to arise under law, by reason of custom or usage in the trade, or by course of dealing, without limiting the generality of the foregoing. Epic, its licensors, and their affiliates make no warranty that 1. The software or services will operate properly, that the software or services will meet your requirements, that the operation of the software or services will be uninterrupted, bug-free, or error-free in any or all circumstances, or that any defects in the software or services can or will be corrected. Any warranty against infringement that may be provided in Section 2312 of Uniform Commercial Code, or in any other comprehensive egregious fault, tort, including negligence, strict liability, indemnity, product liability, breach of contract, breach of warranty, or otherwise, and even if an epic party has been advised of the possibility of such damages. Further, to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, the aggregate liability of the epic parties arising out of or in connection with this agreement or the software, including any game currency or content or services, will not exceed the total amounts you have paid, if any, to the epic or to epic for the software, including any game currency or content during the 12 months immediately preceding the events giving rise to such liability. Wow. These limitations and exclusions regarding damages apply even if any remedy fails to provide adequate compensation. Basically, just, they say they're not liable for any shit that happens to you. If you open up Fortnite, you take your life into your own hands, as we all do every day. Chapter 9, Indemnity. You've seen Double Indemnity. It's a pretty good movie. It's an old one. This section only applies to the extent permitted by applicable law. If you are prohibited by law from entering into the indemnification of the obligation below, then you assume, to the extent permitted by law, all liability for all claims, demands, actions, losses, liabilities, and expenses, including attorney's fees, costs, and expert witnesses' fees, that are the stated subject matter of the indemnification obligation below. You agree to indemnify, pay the defense costs of, and hold Epic, its licensors, and their affiliates, and its and their employees, officers, directors, agents, contractors, and other representatives harmless from all claims, demands, actions, losses, liabilities, and expenses, including attorney's fees, costs, and expert witnesses' fees that arise from or in connection with any claim that, if true, would constitute a breach by you of this agreement or negligence by you, any act or omission by you in using this software, including any game currency or content or services, or claim any infringement or violation of any third-party intellectual property rights arising from Epic's use of your UGC or feedback as provided under Sections 5 or 6 of this agreement. We read those. You agree to reimburse Epic on demand for any defense costs incurred by Epic and any payments made or loss suffered by Epic, whether in court, judgment, or settlement, based on any matter covered by this Section 9. Well, there you go. You're not allowed to go to court for Epic, but if you do, then you have to pay them for anything that they deem a cost. Legal fees, expert witness fees. So when they have to call a Fortnite expert, when they call Ninja to the stand, you will pay for Ninja, you will pay Ninja's fee. So, another thing to keep in mind. Let's go to Chapter 10, Termination. payments and fees are non-refundable under all circumstances, regardless of whether this agreement has been terminated. Sections 2, 5 through 13, and 15 through 17 will survive any termination of this agreement. So that means that everything we're reading is going to continue after you stop playing Fortnite. So you can't decide afterwards, after you've done playing Fortnite, you can't decide then you can go sue them. That's not how it works, according to them. I think you can do whatever you want. I'm not an attorney. You can't disbar me. Part 11. Governing law and jurisdiction. This agreement is entered into in the state of North Carolina, USA, and shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of North Carolina, exclusive of its choice of law rules, for any disputes deemed not subject to binding individual arbitration, as provided in the section immediately below. You and Epic agree to submit to the exclusive jurisdiction of the Superior Court of Wake County, North Carolina, or, if federal court jurisdiction exists, the United States District Court of the Eastern District of North Carolina. You and Epic agree to waive any jurisdictional, venue, or inconvenient forum objections to such courts, without affecting either party's rights to remove a case to federal court, if permissible, as well as any right to a jury trial. The Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods will not apply. Any law or regulation which provides that the language of a contract shall be construed against the drafter will not apply to this agreement. This paragraph will be interpreted as broadly as applicable law permits. Now it's interesting that they have everything taking place in North Carolina. I want to see where Epic is located. Let's see. No, that's... Where is it located? Okay. I found it. It's actually, yeah. Okay. It's based in North Carolina. So, that's why. So, anything that happens, will be, taken care of where Epic is. So, that makes sense. Good to know. Now, part 12. Binding individual arbitration. Class action waiver. Please read this section carefully. It affects your rights, including your right to file a lawsuit in court. Most issues can be resolved quickly and amicably by contacting Epic customer support at https://www.epicgames.com/customer-service. But we understand that sometimes disputes can't be easily resolved by customer support. This section explains how you and Epic agree to resolve those disputes, including, where applicable, by binding individual arbitration. Arbitration is an alternative dispute resolution procedure that allows us to resolve issues without the formality of going to court. Any dispute between you and Epic is submitted to a neutral arbitrator, not a judge or jury, for a fair and fast resolution. Arbitration is more efficient for both you and Epic. So they say. I had a little digression about forced arbitration earlier, but to reiterate, this only benefits Epic. They are saying, hey, we're going to have a neutral arbitrator, but it's a neutral arbitrator that they hire, so, how neutral are they? Not is the answer. Not at all. In necessary statistical evidence to prove that. But, you know, it's what they're claiming. It's a pretty common practice, and it's a pretty shitty practice, actually. But, you know, I have nothing to add other than what I said before. Other than this act that, you know, they really seem to be pushing their customer service. 12.1, Informal Resolution. If you have an issue that our customer support can't resolve, prior to starting arbitration, you and Epic agree to attempt to resolve the dispute informally to help us get to a resolution and control costs for both parties. You and Epic agree to make a good faith effort to negotiate any dispute between us for at least 30 days. Informal resolution. Those informal negotiations will start on the day you or Epic receive a written notice of a dispute in accordance with this agreement. You will send your notice of dispute to Epic Games Incorporated, Legal Department. Attention. Notice of dispute. Box 254, 2474 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina, 27518, USA. Include your name, account name you use while playing Fortnite, address, how to contact you, what the problem is, and what you want Epic to do. If Epic has a dispute with you, Epic will send our notice of dispute to you, to your registered email address, and any billing address you have provided us. If you reside in the European Union, you may also be entitled to submit your complaint to the European Commission's online dispute resolution platform. ODR allows EU consumers to resolve disputes related to the online purchase of goods and services without going to court. If the dispute isn't resolved within by informal resolution or small claims court below, you or Epic may start an arbitration in accordance with this agreement. I noticed that their customer service website is very convenient. However, if you wish to send them a notice of dispute, that it's very inconvenient that you have to mail it out to a very specific address in North Carolina. You know, why make it easy, right? 12.2, Small Claims Court. Instead of using informal resolution, you and Epic agree that you may sue us in small claims court in your choice of the county where you live or Wake County, North Carolina, if you meet the requirements of small claims court. We hope you'll try informal resolution first, but you don't have to before going to small claims court. That's nice. That's nice of them. Very kind. 12.3, Binding Individual Arbitration. The arbitration proceedings in this section will be conducted on an individual basis only. You and Epic agree that disputes will be settled by binding individual arbitration conducted by the Judicial Arbitration Medical Services, Mediation Services, JAMS. I love my JAMS. Subject to U.S. Federal Arbitration Act and federal arbitration law, and according to the JAMS streamlined arbitration rules and procedures effective July 1st, 2014, the JAMS rules, as modified by this agreement. I love the JAMS rules. Actually, I don't. I think they're probably better. This means you and Epic agreed to dispute resolution process, wherein we may dispute. We submit any dispute to a neutral arbitrator, not a judge or jury, that makes the final decision to resolve the dispute. JAMS uses experienced professionals to arbitrate disputes, which helps you and Epic resolve any disputes fairly, but more quickly and efficiently than going to court. The arbitrator may award the same remedies to you individually as a court could, but only to the extent required to satisfy your own individual claim. The arbitrator's decision is final, except for a limited review by courts under the U.S. Federal telling you which corporation they're going to use. They're telling you, kind of what's going to go on there, and it's up to you to decide whether that's fair or not. I think probably not. If you were to ask me, but again, not a lawyer, so. 12.3.1. Now we're getting to patch notes. Disputes we agree to arbitrate. So these are ones that they will allow you to arbitrate. You and Epic agree to submit all disputes between you and Epic to individual binding arbitration. Dispute means any dispute, claim, or controversy, except those specifically accepted below, between you and Epic that relates to your use or attempted use of Epic's products or services, and Epic's products and services generally, including without limitation the validity, enforceability, or scope of this binding individual arbitration section. You and Epic agree to arbitrate all disputes, regardless of whether the dispute is based on contract, statute, regulation, ordinance, tort, including fraud, misrepresentation, fraudulent inducement, or negligence, or any other legal or equitable theory. The Informal Resolution and Arbitration sections do not apply to individual actions in small claims courts, pursuit of enforcement actions through government agency if the law allows, a complaint or remedy under the EU General Data Protection Program, an action to compel or uphold any prior arbitration decision, Epic's right to seek injunctive relief against you in a court of law to preserve the status quo while an arbitration proceeds, claims of piracy, creation, distribution, or promotion of cheats and intellectual property infringement, and the enforceability of the class action waiver clause below. You and Epic agree that whether a dispute is subject to arbitration under this agreement will be determined by the arbitrator rather than a court. Wow. Arbitration procedure. To start an arbitration, review the JAMS rules and follow the instructions for initiating an arbitration on the JAMS website. The party starting an arbitration must send a JAMS demand for arbitration, available on its website, pay a filing fee, and mail a copy of the demand for arbitration to the opposing party. You will send a copy to Epic Games Incorporated Legal Department. Attention. Arbitration of dispute. Box 254, 2474 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina, 27518, USA. Epic will send our copy to your registered email address and any billing address you have provided with us. The arbitration will be conducted by a single JAMS arbitrator selected with substantial experience in resolving intellectual property and commercial contract disputes. You and Epic both agree that the arbitration will be conducted in the English language and that the arbitrator will be bound by this agreement. If an in-person hearing is required, the hearing will take place in either Wake County, North Carolina, or where you reside. You choose. The arbitrator, not a judge or jury, will resolve the dispute unless you and Epic agree otherwise. Any decision or award will include a written statement stating the decision of each claim and the basis for the award, including the arbitrator's essential, factual, and legal findings and conclusions. The arbitrator may only award legal or equitable remedies that are requested by you or Epic to satisfy one of our individual claims that the arbitrator determines are supported by credible, relevant evidence. The arbitrator may not award relief against Epic respecting any person other than you. Any decision or award may be enforced as the final judgment by any court of competent jurisdiction, or, if applicable, application may be made to such court for judicial acceptance of any award and an order of enforcement. So, what we're getting at here is that they are going to pick whoever does 12.3.3 Arbitration fees and locations. If you start the arbitration, you must pay the JAMS filing fee required for consumer arbitrations. In some situations, Epic will help with your fees to hopefully get us at a resolution quickly and fairly. If the dispute involves $10,000 or less, Epic will pay all of the JAMS costs, including the fees you otherwise would have been required to pay. If the above doesn't apply to you, but you demonstrate the arbitration costs will be prohibitive compared to litigation costs, Epic will pay as much of your JAMS costs as the arbitrator finds is necessary to prevent arbitration from being cost prohibitive as compared to the cost of litigation. Even if Epic wins the arbitration and the applicable law or the JAMS rules allow Epic to seek our portion of the JAMS fee from you, we won't. And, of course, this seems nice, but remember that this is not in court. This is what they're saying they will do if you agree to go to arbitration, which they will already win. Anyway, the fee assistance offered above is contingent upon you bringing the arbitration claim in a good faith. If the arbitrator finds you brought an arbitration claim against Epic for an improper purpose, frivolously, or without a sufficient pre-claim investigation into the facts or applicable law, then the payment of all fees will be governed by the JAMS rules. JAMS costs do not include your attorney's fees, and costs and attorney's fees and JAMS costs are not counted when determining how much a dispute involves. So, when they're saying they will be very nice and they'll pay these JAMS costs, not your attorney's fees, though. Just only some of it. Epic won't seek out our attorney's fees or expenses from you in any arbitration, even if the law or the JAMS rules entitle us to do so. If you choose to be represented by an attorney, you will pay your own attorney's fees and costs, unless applicable law provides otherwise. 12.3.4 Notice and filing. If a dispute must be arbitrated, you or Epic must start arbitration of the dispute within 2 years from when the dispute first arose. If applicable law requires you to bring a claim for a dispute sooner than 2 years after the dispute first arose, you must start arbitration in that earlier time period. Epic encourages you to tell us about a dispute as soon as possible so we can work to resolve it. The failure to provide timely notice shall bar all claims. So you have 2 years to do arbitration, or, anything. 12.3.5 Continuation in effect. This binding individual arbitration section survives any termination of this agreement or Epic's provision of services to you. Hello, JC the King, 37. I'm good. How are you? Future arbitration changes. Although Epic may revise this agreement in its discretion, Epic does not have the right to alter this agreement or to arbitrate the rules specified herein with any respect to any dispute that once that dispute arises. 12.4 Class action waiver. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, you and Epic agree to only bring disputes in an individual capacity and shall not seek to bring, join, or participate in any class or representative action, collective or class-wide arbitration, or any other actions where another individual or entity acts in a representative capacity, e.g., private attorney general actions, or consolidate or combine individual proceedings, or permit an arbitrator to do so without the express consent of all parties to this agreement and all other actions or arbitrations. So, if you have a reason to have a class action lawsuit, this is... Oh. I'm sorry, JC the King. I don't know what you said something that had foul language. It's just automatically detecting something. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, this is just saying that that if you want to action lawsuit, that's not going to happen. Which is probably the part that matters the most. Oh, actually, I saw your message right here. Wow. So JC, I don't know what it counted as foul language there, but I'm really sorry to hear about that guy who broke his arm. That's really painful. I've never had a bone broken, but I think if I did, man, that would suck. I can't even imagine. Anyway. Severability. Let's talk about severability. Speaking of breaking an arm. Sorry. 12.5. If all or any provision of this binding individual arbitration agreement is found invalid, unenforceable, or illegal, then you and Epic agree that the provision will be severed and the rest of the agreement shall remain in effect and be construed as if the severed position had not been included. The sole exception is that if the class action waiver is found invalid, unenforceable, or illegal, you and Epic agree that it will not be severable. This entire binding individual arbitration section will be void and unenforceable, and any dispute will be resolved in court subject to the venue and choice of clauses specified in this agreement. Under no circumstances shall arbitration be conducted on a class basis without Epic's express consent. Yeah, well, here's hoping that we don't have our arms severed in addition to the binding individual arbitration segments. In that instance, we actually would like for it to be severed, probably if you were in the position where you wanted to give Epic Games a class action lawsuit of some kind. I can't really imagine what would be the cause for that. What would make you want to do a class action lawsuit against Epic? But there's probably something. Like when, for instance, Ticketmaster. I remember that was a big one when they were just they had like service fees that were fake. They were just adding on service fees because they could. That was a pretty successful class action lawsuit, I think. Could be anything like that. But this is the legalese that's in there to protect them from that. Anyway, 12.6. Your 30-day right to opt out. You have the right to opt out of and not to be bound by the arbitration and class action waiver provisions set forth in this agreement. To exercise this right, you must send written notice of your decision to the following address: Epic Games Incorporated, Legal Department, Attention, Arbitration Opt-out, Box 254 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina, 27518 USA. Your notice must include your name, mailing address, and the account name you use while playing Fortnite, and state that you do not wish to resolve our disputes with Epic through arbitration. To be effective, this notice must be postmarked or deposited within 30 days of the date on which you first accepted this agreement, unless a longer period is required by applicable law. Otherwise, you will be bound to arbitrate disputes in accordance with this section. You are responsible for ensuring that Epic receives your opt-out notice, so that you may wish to send it by means that provides for a delivery receipt. If you opt out of these arbitration provisions, Epic will be not bound by them with respect to disputes with you. And so, you have 30 days from the moment you have begun playing Fortnite to opt out of forced arbitration. So, honestly, that's not even when something goes wrong. It's just when you start playing, you have to go and send a written letter to, was it North Carolina? Other than, that just doesn't seem like something anyone is going to do. It seems like something designed to maybe make people not do that, so they can say that you agreed and you had a time to opt out of forced arbitration, but you chose not to. as defined at 48 CFR 2.101, consisting of commercial computer software and commercial computer software documentation. The software is being licensed to U.S. government and users only as a commercial item, and with only those rights are granted under other licensees under this agreement. So, JC the King, I assume that this actually pertains to you if you're a Fortnite player. You agree to comply with all applicable and federal and foreign laws, regulations, and rules, and complete any required undertakings. You agree not to use, export, re-export, or download the software or services to a national resident or resident of any country to which the U.S. has embargoed goods, or to anyone on the U.S. Treasury Department's list of specially designated nationals, or the U.S. Commerce Department's table of denial orders. You represent and warrant that you are not located in, under the control of, or a national or resident of any U.S. restricted or prohibited country, or on any U.S. restricted or prohibited list. So, if you are in the government, or the army, or anything like that, you can't give this program, this Fortnite program, to illegal people in illegal countries, as the U.S. has determined. Enemies of the state, they don't want them playing Fortnite. Chapter 14. Amendments of this agreement. Epic may issue an amended agreement, terms of service, or privacy policy at any time in its discretion by posting the amended agreement, terms of service, or privacy policy on its website, or by providing you with digital access to amended versions of any of these documentations when you next access the software. If any amendment to this agreement, the terms of service, or policy is not acceptable to you, you may terminate this agreement and must stop using our software. Your continued use of the software will demonstrate your acceptance of the amended agreement and terms of service, as well as your acknowledgement that you have read the amended privacy policy. 15. No assignment. You may not, without the prior written consent of Epic, assign, transfer, charge, or subcontract all or any of your rights or obligations under this agreement, and any attempt without that consent will be null and void. If your restrictions on the transfer of the software of this agreement are not enforceable under the law of your country, then this agreement will be binding on any recipient of the software. Epic may at any time assign, transfer, charge, or subcontract all or any of its rights or obligations under this agreement. Definitions. Oh, we were at this section before. You get to hear all the meanings that we were reading the whole time. As used in this agreement, the following capitalized words have the following meanings. Cheat detection. Cheat detection means functionally intended to identify cheats. Cheats means programs, methods, or other processes which may give players an unfair competitive advantage in the software. Confidential information means any non-public information related to the software, including without limitation information related to gameplay or other content, game currency, content, the services, your own feedback and comments, and the feedback or comments of any other licensee of the software or any Epic representative. Content means any virtual items, virtual environments such as islands, or other content that Epic makes available to you to access or download through or in connection with the software, and expressly includes licensed music and UGC that has been licensed to us by our users. Epic means depending on the location of your primary residence. A. Epic Games Incorporated, a Maryland corporation, having its principal business offices at Box 254, 2474 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina, 27518 USA. Or B. Epic Games International, SARL, a Luxembourg society Liability à Responsabilité Limitée, located at Atrium Business Park, 33 Rue de Paris Romaine, L8070, Bertrange Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, acting through its Swiss branch, having its principal offices at Platz 36039, Route, Switzerland. Wow. Fortnite sure is complicated. Feedback means any feedback or suggestions that you provide to Epic regarding the services, software, or other Epic's products and services. Services means any services made available to you through the software, including services to acquire, maintain, and use game currency and content. Software means the proprietary software application known as Fortnite, and any patches, updates, and upgrades to the application, and all related content and documentation made available to you by Epic under this agreement, including but not limited to all software code, titles, themes, objects, characters, names, dialogue, catchphrases, locations, stories, artwork, animation, concepts, sounds, audiovisual effects, methods of operation, and musical compositions that are related to the application, and any copies of any of the foregoing. Software specifically includes all game currency and content for which you have paid the associated fee or otherwise acquired a license under Section 4. So, if anywhere in this terms of service, EULA, they ask you to delete the software, they also mean to relinquish your claim on any in-game currency or items that you have been granted. So, essentially deleting your account. 17. Miscellaneous. This agreement and any document or information referred to in this agreement constitute the entire agreement between you and Epic relating to the subject matter covered by this agreement. All other communications, proposals, and representations with respect to the subject matter covered by this agreement are excluded. The original of this agreement is in English. Any translations are provided for future reference purposes only. It is the express wish of the parties that these terms and all related documents have been drawn up in English. Les parties déclarent que ont demandé et par les présentes confirment le désir express que cette convention soit rédigée en anglais. Hope you got that. You waive any right you have under the law of your country to have this agreement written or construed in the language of any other country. This agreement describes certain legal rights. You may have other rights under the laws of your jurisdiction. This agreement does not change your rights under the laws of your jurisdiction. This agreement, limitations and exclusions of warranties and remedies in this agreement may not apply to you because your jurisdiction may not allow them in your particular circumstance. In the event that certain provisions of this agreement are held by a court or tribunal of competent jurisdiction to be unenforceable, these provisions shall be enforced only to the furthest extent possible under applicable law, and the remaining terms of this agreement will remain in full force and effect. Any act by Epic to exercise or failure or delay in exercise of any of its rights under this agreement at law or in equity will not be deemed a waiver of those or any other rights or remedies available in contract at law or in equity. You agree that this agreement does not confer any rights or remedies on any person other than the parties to this agreement, except as expressly stated. Epic's obligations are subject to existing laws and legal process, and Epic may comply with law enforcement or regulatory requests or requirements despite any contrary term in this agreement. 18. Additional platform terms. So, these only apply to people playing on these specific platforms. 18.1. Sony PlayStation users. The following additional terms and conditions PlayStation devices that you own or control. Please note that Epic will store Sony Entertainment Network account information, including your email address and online ID. As explained in Epic's privacy policy, Epic may allow its users to search for other Epic accounts by their SEN account, and other Epic users may send you friend requests. Your SEN account privacy settings will not apply to your Epic account. In no event may you convert any software virtual currency into real currency, tangible goods, or in-kind consideration, and you are expressly forbidden from engaging in off-platform sales or exchanges of such virtual currency, such as at eBay or other auction sites. For SIEA users, purchase and use of items are subject to network terms of service and user agreement. This online service has been sublicensed to you by Sony Interactive Entertainment America. For SIEE users, any content purchased at an in-game store will be purchased from Sony Interactive Entertainment Network Empire Network Europe Limited, CNA, and be subject to PlayStation Network Terms of Service and User Agreement, which is available on the PlayStation Store. Please check usage rights for each purchase, as they may differ from item to item. Unless otherwise shown, content available in any in-game store has the same age rating as the game. 18.2 Microsoft Xbox users. The following additional terms and conditions apply with respect to software available for use on Xbox Live devices that you own or control. Neither Microsoft Corporation nor any of its affiliates, collectively Microsoft, have any maintenance or support obligations with respect to the software or services. Nothing in this agreement shall govern or change in any way your relationship with Microsoft under any agreements between you and Microsoft, including the Xbox Live Terms of Service. Further, to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, the aggregate liability of the Epic parties, other than Microsoft, arising out of or in connection with the agreement or the software, including any game, currency, or content, or services, will not exceed the total amounts you have paid, if any, to Epic for the software, including any game, currency, or content during the 12 months immediately preceding the events giving rise to such liability, and Microsoft shall have no liability to you arising out of or in connection with this agreement or the software, including game, currency, or content, or services. These limitations and exclusions regarding damages apply even if any remedy fails to provide adequate compensation. So, they are extending to Microsoft the same liability limitations that they have granted themselves. Apparently not PlayStation. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't need to for some reason. Now, 18.3. Apple iOS users. There should be, I guess, no one now, because I think you can't get Fortnite on the iOS anymore. Uh-oh. So, this section will apply to no one, I guess. Oh, hello, 301 Lars. The following additional terms and conditions apply with respect to software available for only use on any Apple Incorporated iPhone or iPad devices that you own or control. If you are somehow able to run Fortnite on your iOS devices now, you acknowledge that your agreement is not with Apple. Epic, not Apple, is solely responsible for the software and the content thereof. Your use of the software shall be subject to the terms of this agreement and as permitted by the usage rules set forth in the App Store terms and conditions as of the date you download or first use the software, which you acknowledge you have had the opportunity to review. You agree that Apple has no maintenance or support obligations with respect to the software or services. You acknowledge and agree that Apple is not responsible for any product warranties, whether express or implied by law, with respect to the software or services. If you are legally entitled to a warranty in your country or jurisdiction, then in the event of any failure of the software or services to conform to such the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, Apple will have no other warranty obligation whatsoever with respect to the software or services, and claim any losses, liabilities, damages, costs, or expenses attributable to any failure to conform to such required warranty will be Epic's sole responsibility. However, you understand and agree that in accordance with this agreement, Epic has disclaimed all warranties of any kind with respect to the software and services, and therefore there are no warranties applicable to the software or services except those required by law. As between Apple and Epic, not Apple, oh, I'm glad you like this, is responsible for addressing your or any third party's claims relating to the software or services, or your possession and or use of the software or services, including, but not limited to, oh, hello, Panelet and Liquid Arrow. Epic, not Apple, will be solely responsible for the investigation. Oh yeah, fire's good. You agree that this agreement does not confer any rights or remedies on any person other than the parties to this agreement, except as expressly stated. Notwithstanding the foregoing, Apple and Apple subsidiaries are third-party beneficiaries of this agreement. And upon your acceptance of this agreement, Apple will have the right and will be deemed to have accepted the right to enforce this agreement against you as a third-party beneficiary thereof. Any end-user questions, complaints, or claims with respect to the software should be directed to help@fortnite.com. So, that's how you would comply if you were on an Apple or iOS device playing Fortnite. But I guess you could kind of say that Fortnite did not follow the terms of service of the Apple Store, so you don't really need to worry about that. Now, 18.4 Samsung Galaxy users. Oh, Anektov, thank you for hosting. Appreciate that. For Samsung Galaxy users, the following additional terms and conditions apply with respect to software available for use on the Samsung Galaxy devices that you own or control. The software may provide you the ability to make payments through Samsung's in-app purchases APIs. In the event that you make a payment using Samsung's in-app purchase, Samsung Galaxy apps, terms and conditions that you entered into the Samsung Co. Limited or its affiliates regarding the use of Samsung's in-app purchase and its equivalent terms shall apply to the payment and any refunds related to such payment. Alright, and Liquid Arrow. Keep it cool, man. Keep it cool. Now, I think that concludes the end-user license agreement for Fortnite. So, folks who've been watching, you are now cleared. If you're still awake, you're cleared to play Fortnite. As soon as you also read the privacy policy, fan content policy, and terms of service. In addition to that, so since we got some people in the chat, why don't we go ahead and go to that privacy policy? Okay, we'll go ahead and read that. The Epic Games privacy policy, last updated March 31st, 2020. The Epic Games privacy policy is designed to help you better understand the information we collect and the different ways we may use or share it. This policy applies to our use of the Epic services. By Epic services, I don't know what an after show is, Panelet. By Epic services, we mean any of our websites, stores, games, game developer tools, applications, or other products or services that link to this policy. Additional terms and conditions may also apply to your relationship with Epic, depending on how you choose to interact with us. Please read this entire policy to make sure you fully understand it. You should also be sure to carefully review other terms potentially applicable to your visit and your use of specific Epic services. privacy-related questions or concerns you may have. So, yeah, as we learned earlier, Epic is multiple companies. If you are outside the US, you are talking about Epic in Sweden, or apparently France, that is located in Sweden. And Epic in the US is the Epic that is actually, was founded and is in Carolina, but actually is in Maryland, and that's where it's incorporated, I guess. I assume this is all for tax purposes. Information we collect. We generally collect information in 3 ways. 1, you voluntarily provide information to us, such as by creating an account, making purchases, or signing up for email alerts. 2, we collect information automatically from your use of the Epic services, such as through cookies or our games and other software. And 3, other parties, such as game console platforms and social networks, may provide information to us. Each of these methods is described in more detail below. So here's about all the information that you give to Epic Games. The many ways in which they are taking and selling your information. It's good to be aware. 1, information you provide. You may provide your personal information to us when you choose to use the Epic services, because we change our offerings and features from time to time. The options you have to provide us with information may also change. Some of the most common examples of situations in which you may provide information to us include creating an Epic account, licensing and downloading our games and engines, using Epic services social features. See when you use social features on the Epic services. Purchasing something from us or otherwise engaging in a transaction with us, entering online competitions or registering for or participating in special events, entering contests or sweepstakes, participating in any of our promotions, or accepting any prizes from us, signing up for email alerts or subscribing to receive other information from us, completing a survey, using a mobile device such as a phone to play our games or use our applications, and contacting us for any reason such as by email, including for technical support or customer service. So anytime you do anything involving Fortnite or Epic, you're providing information to them. The specific types of information you may be able to provide us will often vary depending on the Epic services you are using and how you interact with them. For example, you'll need an Epic account to access certain parts of the Epic services. If you'd like to create one, you may be asked to provide basic registration details, like your name, a public-facing display name, password, country of residence, and email address. We automatically assigned each new Epic account with a number, an Epic account ID, during the registration process, which helps us to uniquely reference your Epic account across the Epic services and facilitate features like crossplay. If you'd like to make a purchase, we may ask that you provide billing information. modifying or improving features, managing advertising, addressing technical issues, preventing fraud or misuse of our services, and conducting data analytics. The type of information that we automatically collect may vary, but generally includes technical information about your computer, device, hardware, or software you use to access the internet or our services, such as IP address, or other transactional or identifier information for your device, such as device make and model, information about device operating systems and browsers, or other device system-related specifications. Usage information and statistics about your interaction with the Epic services, which may include the URLs of our websites that you have visited, URLs of referencing and exiting pages, page views, time spent on a page, number of clicks, platform type, and the application you used or the game you played, how long you used or played it, and when, and other usage statistics. Crash reports, which may be automatically generated when a game or application crashes, and includes information about your system and the crash. Information that facilitates a safer and more personalized experience, such as your display name or other user identification provided in connection with your application use or gameplay, saved preferences, game progress, and device identifiers or usage information for authentication and fraud prevention purposes, and the location of your device, such as may be derived from your device's IP address. You heard it here. Fortnite knows your location. They know where you are. Please note that if certain features on the Epic services are provided by third parties, those third parties may also use automated means of data collection and may record information about your use of the Epic services or other websites over time. These features are subject to those third parties' privacy policies and notices. So, we really can't even get into it. We also have to read the privacy policies of all these connected third parties, but, I think for the sake of expediency, we'll just stick with this privacy policy. Fraud prevention and anti-cheat. Providing users with a fair, balanced, and competitive experience on the Epic services is extremely important to us. We strictly enforce prohibitions against cheating, hacking, account stealing, and any other unauthorized or fraudulent activity on the Epic services. When you create an Epic account, buy our products or services, play our games, or otherwise interact with Epic on or through the Epic services, we may use a variety of anti-cheat and fraud prevention technologies to help us identify and prevent malicious activity. These services may collect and analyze data about the game binary or your computer to detect cheating, and may be provided by Epic or by third parties such as BattleEye. I don't know what BattleEye is, but I assume that's their fraud detection, cheat detection program. I haven't heard a lot of news stories about it, so I assume it's not one of the ones that stays on your computer active at all times. So maybe it's not one of the bad ones, but they are collecting information about you, so be aware. 3. Information we receive from others. In some cases, other parties provide us with information about you, or allow us to collect information about you. We generally collect information from other parties in 4 ways. 1. You interact with Epic using a service that is not controlled by us, such as a social network. 2. You choose to use a social feature of the Epic services. 3. You access Epic services through another party, such as a gaming console or mobile device operator. Or 4. You link a third-party account to your Epic account. In some cases, we are not able to control the amount or type of information that other parties, like social networks, make available to us. In those cases, we only use the data that we need to provide the types of services we think our users want and expect. Although we cannot control your privacy settings at those websites or how those other parties protect your privacy, once we receive information about you through those websites, we will treat it in accordance with this policy. So sometimes, when you link your Facebook, you actually are providing way more information than example, social networks may provide us with information from your profile on their services or other information that you agreed the social network or other party could provide us. When you use social features of the Epic services, when you choose to use some of the Epic services' social features, you allow Epic to receive information about you from third parties, like social networks. Our social features promote and facilitate interaction among players, such as by allowing you and your friends to work together to meet a shared challenge presented by our game or application. You may be able to use these features if you find out if your friends are actively playing the game and using the feature, and to find out if they used it in the past, and to invite them to join with you and meet a game challenge. If you choose to use one of our social features, you may be asked to log into a social network through our game or application. The social network may then provide Epic with information such as your social network user ID, your profile picture, and the user IDs and profile pictures of your connections. When you access Epic services through other parties or devices, we may also receive information about you from the organizations that sell our games or applications, or which provided the gaming system you use. Those parties may provide us with information regarding your account or registration, but they do not give us your payment information. Because those organizations determine what information they will collect from you, it may vary according to their services, but is likely to include details such as your display name and user ID for those services, as well as device and region information. When you link a third-party account to your Epic account, if you choose to link a third-party account, such as a gaming console or social media account, to your Epic account, the third party will provide Epic with information about that account. Because those organizations determine what information they will collect from you, it may vary according to their services, but is likely to include details such as your third-party account display name and user ID, as well as associated device information, name, and email address. How we use and share information. Okay, so I assume that this is going to be where they say that they are selling it. As a general matter, we use and share the information we collect, either individually or in combination with other information collected, as described in this policy, to help provide, improve, customize, analyze, and market the Epic services, where we have an appropriate basis to do so. 1. The use. We rely on several legal bases to process your personal information for the purposes disclosed in this policy. These often depend on the exact nature of your relationship with Epic, but common examples include to support our legitimate interests, such as to communicate with you, respond to your requests, or provide you with updates and information. To better understand our users and their preferences, to personalize your experience, save your preferences, authenticate our users, and provide similar user experience features, to develop, deliver, and improve our products, services, and other offerings, some of which may be offered in partnership with other parties. Okay, so, that's the part where they sell it. To manage and customize advertisements or promotional offers. Oh, that's also the part where they sell it. For security purposes and for internal purposes, such as auditing and data analysis. To provide services that are subject to terms you have accepted, such as enforcing our licenses, agreements, and terms of service, which may include reasonable monitoring to detect and prevent misuse or fraud, keep our games fair for all users, and otherwise protect and defend the Epic services. When you give consent, which you can withdraw at any time, to comply with legal obligations. We store personal information for as long as we reasonably need to fulfill it, the purposes for which it was collected. you requested, enforce any applicable terms that govern your use of the Epic services, and maintain appropriate records to reflect our delivery of the Epic services to you. We periodically review the information we retain to determine whether continued storage is proper. 2. Sharing. Service providers. We share personal information with our service providers that we've engaged to help support the Epic services by performing certain services on our behalf and under our instructions. For example, if you make a purchase on the Epic services, we'll generally share your billing information with a third-party payment processor to enable your transaction. Other common examples include partners that assist with cloud storage, email marketing of products and services offered by Epic, player support ticketing, and monitoring and securing the Epic services. These service providers are not authorized by us to use or disclose personal information, except as necessary to perform services on our behalf or to comply with legal requirements. Affiliates. We may share personal information we collect with Epic Games Inc. subsidiaries to support the Epic services worldwide. Marketing partners. We may share limited personal information, such as device identifiers, with marketing partners for purposes of executing and optimizing campaigns and gauging the effectiveness of advertising and other marketing strategies solely on Epic's behalf. So, they will share your personal information with marketers, but, it's just for Epic, so don't worry. Epic Games Store partners. If you purchase a game from the Epic Games Store, we may share certain information associated with your Epic account with the game's developer or publisher to support your gameplay and permit them to contact you for appropriate purposes. For example, to support gameplay, we may share your Epic account ID and entitlement to the game. To support in-game social features, we may also share your Epic display name and your Epic friends list. You may also opt in to share your contact information with the game's developer or publisher. If a store partner removes their game from the Epic Store, we will also transfer information necessary to support your continued gameplay on another platform to them. When Epic provides your information to these independent publishers and developers, their use and disclosure of the information is governed by limitations in our agreements with them. However, they also provide their end users with policy notices or policies that govern their use of your information. Personal information you share with them, or that is not provided by Epic, will be subject to the developers' and publishers' privacy notices and policies, and may not be subject to this policy. Epic account services. If you sign into a third-party developer's game or application using your Epic account, you may choose to share details about your Epic account, such as your Epic account ID, Epic display name, linked account identifiers, online presence, and your Epic friends using the same game or application. These third-party developers' uses of this Epic account information is governed by limitations in our agreements with them. Personal information you share with them, or which is not provided by Epic, is subject to third-party developers' privacy notices and policies, which may differ from Epic's practices as described in this policy. Please review third-party developers' privacy policies carefully and ensure you understand and are comfortable with how they handle your information before using your Epic account to access products and services. Social features. We may share or provide you with opportunities to share information about you or other users and of the Epic services as described in this policy. We also provide services that allow our users to communicate with Epic and each other, in which case personal information may be shared and account IDs may be displayed. For example, we may share information about you with your social contacts when you and they use the same social features of our games and applications. We may disclose information about you if we are required to do so by law, legal process, or a reasonable request from law enforcement authorities or other government officials. So they will support the cops over So that little line right there makes, so if Epic goes under, they are allowed to sell their information as a way to kind of make everything, work together. So they, for now they won't sell things, but they might in the future. Now, your choices and controls. We seek to provide you with meaningful choices about the personal information you share with Epic, as well as the ways we may use or share that information. We'll generally only ask you for personal information that is necessary to provide the Epic services you request. You can choose not to give us personal information we request, but if you decide not to, you may not be able to access parts of the Epic services, and some features may not work as intended. We may also seek your prior consent to process your information in certain ways. You aren't required to provide consent if you do not want your personal information to be processed for the requested purposes, and may withdraw your consent at any time. Any withdrawal of consent is only effective on a going-forward basis and will not, in fact, impact the processing we undertook while relying on your consent. We provide you with the ability to request access to and correlation or deletion of your personal information. You can update your account information or request that we delete your Epic account directly through the Epic services at any time. If you would like to request access to personal information associated with your Epic account. Oh, thank you for following, Alejandro. If you would like to request access to personal information associated with your Epic account, please see the How to Contact Us section below. Other examples of your choices include: you can browse our website without providing any personal information. We may collect some limited information automatically, as described above. You may opt out of receiving our marketing messages at any time by using the opt-out mechanism provided in the message. You can change your privacy settings on other parties' websites, such as social networks, which will stop or limit our receipt of information from those websites. You may choose not to use social features we make available. If you choose to use these features, you should refrain from posting personal information that will be visible to others, such as including your email address in a forum or during a chat. You may change your browser settings or take steps to block, manage, or delete cookies. Not all of our websites and online services currently respond to browser do not track signals, so you will need to use your browser settings to effectively manage cookies. In some cases, blocking or disabling cookies may cause our websites, games, and applications to not work as intended, and some features may not be available. You can limit interest-based advertising by opting out at www.aboutads.info/choices/ or www.networkadvertising.org/choices/. If you are located in Europe, more information is available at youronlinechoices.eu/. If you are under the age of 18 and have an account for our websites, mobile apps, game engines, games, or other online services, you may request that we remove certain content that you provided, such as deleting or editing comments that you have posted. You may also ask us to assist you in removing or anonymizing content that you have posted by contacting us as described in the How to Contact Us section of this policy. Please be aware that taking these steps may not ensure complete or comprehensive removal of the content or information posted on our websites, online services, applications, or games. We also may not be able to remove the content you post if applicable law requires us to maintain the posting, or if another party has reposted the content to a website, app, game, or other service that we do not own or control. You may also exercise and amend your choices by sending an email to us. information about exercising these rights, send an email to the address specified in the How to Contact Us section below. EEA and UK residents may contact Epic's Data Protection Officer with any questions or concerns about our handling of personal information at dpo@epicgames.com. EEA and UK residents also have the right to lodge a complaint with the Data Protection Authority if they have concerns about Epic's handling of personal information. California residents. If you are a California resident and are not a job applicant, employee, or employee of another company interacting with us in your job, you have the right to ask us what personal information we have collected and shared about you, the right to request deletion of your personal information, and the right not to be discriminated against for exercising any of these rights. For more information about exercising these rights, send an email to the address specified in the How to Contact Us section below. Sales of information. Epic only uses the personal information we collect to help provide, support, and improve the Epic services as described in this policy, and we do not sell this information to third parties. Though I will note that based on the earlier sections, they reserve the right to do so in the future. A little editorializing on my part. How we protect information. We maintain appropriate administrative, technical, and physical safeguards to protect your personal information from accidental, unlawful, or unauthorized destruction, loss, alteration, access, disclosure, or use and other unlawful forms of processing. In some cases, your information is accessible when you log into a feature we offer, and in those cases, you need to help keep your user credentials and password confidential and secure so that your information is protected. Children's privacy. The Epic services are intended to be appropriate for general audiences and are not directed to children, usually considered to be under 13, depending on where you reside. Epic does not intentionally collect personal information from children without seeking any required parental approval in accordance with the applicable legal and regulatory obligations, such as the U.S. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA. COPPA. That's a good word. I'm not listening to this, but feel like it's kind of a tingly word. Hi, Trent. Derforant. We may, how are you? If a user indicates that they are a COPPA minor, sorry, I skipped a paragraph. We may ask you to provide age-related information in order to help us comply with laws like COPPA. For example, we may request your date of birth to determine whether COPPA requires us to obtain verifiable parental consent from your guardian or parent before allowing you access to the Epic services. If a user indicates that they are a COPPA minor, we'll require that user to complete a parental approval process before continuing to access relevant Epic services. Hey, wow. Hello from Brazil. Glad you're joining. If it's just to help you go to sleep, you don't need to necessarily understand what I'm saying. I get it. I've listened to ASMR in other languages myself. Anyway, if a user indicates they are a COPPA minor, we'll require that user to complete a parental approval process before continuing to access the relevant Epic services. This process is designed to notify parents that their child has requested access to the Epic services, inform them about Epic's privacy practices, offer them the opportunity to approve Epic's collection policy to Fortnite, which is, I'm reading, it's kind of just a joke because, I don't know why. Parents are also generally free to change or revoke the choices they've previously made and can review the personal information associated with their child's account or request that we delete it from our systems. To submit these requests or ask us any other questions you may have about how we handle your child's personal information, please see how to contact us below. Authorized child accounts are otherwise treated much like other Epic accounts. They can generally play approved games such as Fortnite, access communications and social features like chat and friends lists, and freely interact with most of the Epic services, including downloading other games from the Epic Games Store. For additional details, please see the information we collect and how we use and share information sections of the policy above. Thank you for following. Transfers of information. Epic Games is a company with operations around the world. By using the Epic services, you acknowledge and agree that your information may be processed outside of your country or residence, including in other jurisdictions like the United States that may have different data protection frameworks than your region. To learn more about the Epic entity responsible for operating the Epic services in your region, see how to contact us below. We've implemented and maintain a framework consistent with applicable law and this policy for transfers of information outside the country of collection. For example, when we transfer personal data collected in the European Union to locations outside of the European Economic Area, we rely on transfer mechanisms adopted by the European Commission to help establish adequate safeguards, like standard contractual clauses. We may also need to transfer your information to provide the Epic services to you in accordance with our existing agreements with you, such as the terms of services. Updates to our privacy policy. This policy may be updated periodically to reflect changes in our personal information practices or relevant laws. We will indicate at the top of this policy when this policy was last updated. Please review this policy every time you access or use the Epic services to make sure that you have reviewed the most recent version. How to contact us. This is a highly anticipated section. It's been referenced almost throughout the entire article. How to contact us. If you have general questions or concerns about the Epic services, such as game-related issues, trouble accessing your Epic account, or bugs, or technical problems, payment matters, or content and entitlement issues, please contact our player support team. To learn more about Epic's privacy practices or this policy, please email your questions to privacy@epicgames.com or send them to us via postal mail marked Attention Legal Department at the appropriate address listed below. You can also contact our data protection officer directly at dpo@epicgames.com. The Epic identity identified below is responsible for providing the Epic services to your region and is the controller of personal data collected under this policy. If you reside in the United States of America, Epic Games Incorporated, located at 620 Crossroads Boulevard, Cary, North Carolina, 27518, USA. If you reside outside of the United States of America, Epic Games International, SARL, a Luxembourg Society à Responsabilité Limitée, located at Atrium Business Park, 33 Rue de Puits-Romain, L8070 Bertrange, Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, acting through its Swiss branch, having its principal business offices at Platz 3, 6039, Route Switzerland. So, there you go, there you have it. I would say you are now mostly legally allowed to play Fortnite if you've watched this entire video. And I'm so happy that some of you chose to watch. We got a bunch of people in the was a whole lot of fun. We got some people who were a little spicy in the chat, but hey, you like it hot and spicy here. Just an appropriate amount for the Twitch, okay? And, I'm glad that we're all legally allowed to play Fortnite. Probably it's healthier for you to be asleep than to be playing Fortnite. But, hey, sometimes you can't sleep. I know I'm not tired. It's, really, well, it's not that late here. It's only like 10 o'clock. But, I think I'm gonna go, grab myself a cup of water for right now. But, hey, while I'm gone, let me know if you liked what we're doing. If you want me to read more,